And I'm sure you've known that you're not alone, but there's something to be said about actually hearing that, and it's like affirming. Oh, hi guys. If you watched my video, the one before this, my fall what's in my bag, I mentioned at the end that I think this is the most controversial video that I will ever post. And I stand by that. Of course, I just filmed that like 2 seconds ago. But I really do believe that. And I've been struggling. If you are a consistent viewer of my channel, you know that I've hinted towards this video for a while now. And it's been a long time. It's been over a year. And I've been praying about it and just asking God to show me what He wants me to do, if He wants me to do this video or not. And He still has kept it on my heart, so I guess this is as good a time as any to do it. I'm going to be sharing with you my story of how I rediscovered my faith and how I continued my walk with God. And it's kind of sad and silly that I even have to say this, and I even have to disclaimer this, but I'm not here to cast judgment on anybody. I'm not here to discredit anybody. I'm not here to say any bad things or be a hater towards any religion, because I truly believe that religion is one of the most personal, if not the most personal thing that somebody can experience. And what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for somebody else. And I'm just here to share my story because I feel like it's very unique, and if there's somebody out there watching this, I just want to maybe help that one person that's out there watching this and hears my story and goes, oh my goodness, I am not alone in this world. And I'm sure you've known that you're not alone, but there's something to be said about actually hearing that, and it's like affirming that you're not alone. But I think it's important, and if I can help that one person feel a little bit better, I'm willing to do that. When I was 5, my mom and I became Jehovah's Witness, and I knew nothing about it. And looking back, there was a time when I was very, very angry with her for doing that, because I suffered, I experienced a lot of suffer, that's the wrong word. I endured a lot of scary things, and I don't think that being a Jehovah's Witness was the root of it. It played a big part, but it wasn't the root. And it's so terrifying, moving to a different country and not really knowing anybody and wanting that community for your child and for yourself, when the 2 women came knocking at our door, and offered this kind of community. I mean, of course my mom was like, yeah, for sure, I totally wanted that. And she did it, and I know why she did it. And now, like 20 something years later, I understand it. But in that time, looking back, I really didn't. Now I've always been very inquisitive. I've always been very curious. I've always been very in tune with my emotions, as much as a young kid could be. And I just never felt included. And I just felt very isolated. And of course there were family issues at home that played a big part as well. So the two together, just my childhood was very, very I had a very moments of pure bliss, and then other moments of just pure terror. There's no celebration of birthdays and holidays, and the most infamous thing is, while the rest of the class said the Pledge of Allegiance, I had to abstain or had to go outside or whatever it was. I couldn't participate. I don't think, not saying the Pledge of Allegiance, like not trying to be unpatriotic here, but that wasn't a big deal for me, especially as a kid, because it's like I didn't really understand what it was to be, like what saying the Pledge of Allegiance meant. The biggest thing that was hard for me was the not being able to celebrate birthdays and like Valentine's Day and Halloween and anything like that. As a kid, you just don't understand. You're like, why? Like, why can't I have a cupcake when it's, Johnny's birthday? Why can't I have, decorate a mailbox and get Valentine's cards and candies? I saw it as more of like from a very like frivolous, like not materialistic, but like the way a kid sees, each holiday. Like for Halloween, it's like, why couldn't I trick or treat with everybody else? Like, why can I dress up? And then Christmas, that was the worst for me. For years, I would just like see all the rest of, the people on my street decorate their house and get a Christmas tree, and I couldn't tell you how sad that was for a little kid. Middle school rolled around and I was still going to school with the same kids, and at this point I feel like I was branded like the weirdo that never went to birthday parties that they were invited to. And I think by that time people were like, I'm not going to invite you anymore because you never went. And they don't understand. Kids are cruel, yeah, like we all know that. But I just felt like I was, my status as an outsider was set. And of course, like every kid in middle school, or most kids in middle school, I had my super awkward phase where I felt like I was chubby and I didn't really have that many friends, and I was slightly bullied. Of course, I'm happy, I'm really fortunate that I wasn't bullied more than I'm sure a lot of kids are. But I soon, being the kind of person I am, I soon realized like, hey, I don't want to be bullied anymore. And of course, the answer to my middle school self was, okay, if you don't want to be bullied, you're going to be the bully. And I was a mean person. Of course, in my defense, I was trying to save myself, but I wasn't a nice person. And so that, I feel like, made me more of an outsider. It was like a little bit of instant gratification. Like, hey, I'm going to bully you before you have the chance to bully me. It's like, I'm going to laugh at you before you get a chance to laugh at me, kind of thing. It's like the defense mechanism, like. And then high school rolled around, and I was a freshman and sophomore year, I was like, I still didn't really have that many friends. I had a few good friends, and I was always that person that got in with the teachers, and probably other kids were like, oh my gosh, teacher's pet, like, really can't be friends with her now, so my status was even worse. But junior year was probably the worst year of my life. I was depressed. I was semi-suicidal, I feel like. And every single day I was either like distracted or just couldn't concentrate. Like I know I'm a smart person, but I couldn't concentrate on anything. And so I spent most of my time in my guidance counselor's office, and he, I joke around about a lot of things, but he really saved my life. I was given this like amazing hall pass where it's like, I was given this amazing hall pass by him, and he pretty much said to me, if you feel like you need to just sit in my office, whether it's in silence and just take a breath, or if you need to cry your eyes out, my door is open. And without him, I don't know. I don't even want to think about where I would be right now. He really did save my life, and I owe my life to him and to God. And during this time, I, again, was still struggling in my religion, and I didn't feel a connection with God because I'm a firm believer in, like, if you don't set a very strong foundation, anything you try to build on top of it's going to come crashing down. And I for sure didn't establish a solid foundation as a Jehovah's Witness. Actually, that year, was I 16? I think I was 16 turning 17. I decided to leave Jehovah's Witness because at that time I didn't understand that, like, God puts you through the wilderness or puts you through tough times to make you strong. Like, I didn't get that. I was under the impression that anything from God had to be positive, and if it wasn't positive, it wasn't from God or whatever, you know. That was my mindset. And so I left. And for the next, like, 8 years, 8.5, almost 9 years, I was agnostic. And looking back now, I understand why I never became an atheist. It's God saying, hey, I know you, I made you, I love you, I'm going to give you some time to be in the wilderness, and I will lead you back to me soon. And that soon was 2014 when I found the church that I'm going to, my church family. And I saw it, and I think it was C Coach, which is like our version of Stagecoach. 2000, was it 2014 or 2015? I can't remember, but it was either 2014 or 2015. And I am such a outgoing person. If you know me, you know that. I don't know why I was so nervous to go. I guess it was just like a whole bunch of new people, and then on top of that, like, kind of, am I ready to continue my walk with God? I wasn't sure, but regardless, I went, and it was incredible. You know, like when you ask, like, how do you know if this is the man or woman that I'm meant to be with? And then they answer with, when you know, you know. That feeling of when you know, you know. That's how I felt when I walked into SCG Young Adults. I just knew that this was my church family. And since then, I've gone to other young adults, I've been to other services, and I just haven't, services at other churches, and I just haven't found that same feeling. I haven't had that when you know kind of feeling with any other church. Anyways, God has just, in the last 18 months, has worked so amazing. Like, I just ask him every time I pray, every time I pray, I say, God, please be very intentional, be very deliberate with me, and show me exactly, be super obvious, and show me what you want me to do, what plan you have for me. And he has been that way. I've always been somebody that prided myself on picking up on subtleties, but with God, since I'm so new, I'm like, God, be deliberate, be so obvious, like, to the point of even, like, hitting me on the head with something. And I've made some amazing friends who share my same love for God. And I'm not somebody, I've never been somebody that's like, just take my word for it. I can't take somebody's word for it. I have to experience things on my own. And trust me, after what I've been through, if I can be where I am, I'm still growing and I'm still broken, and I know that I'll always be broken. But I feel a sense of, like, safety now that haven't felt for most of my life. And to me, that speaks volumes. I continue to grow every single day. I don't even know. I feel like my biggest gift is to share my story with you guys, and hopefully you're inspired by me to maybe give God another chance, or just, take a chance and pray and ask him to be intentional with you, and because he's just waiting for you to, oh, now I'm getting emotional. One of the biggest things I've learned is not to compare myself, because that is the surefire way to doubt yourself, to, just, it's a bad thing. Don't compare. Comparison is the devil's biggest ally. So yeah, I just wanted to share my story, and I'm so thankful. He's blessed me in so many ways, both every time I have a fight with my mom, instead of just like retaliating and firing back, I just walk away and I pray, say a little prayer, and I feel this instant calm. I know to those out there who are not a believer, you're probably like, oh yeah, of course you do, like it's all in your head. But hey, I think it's all God putting that in my head, you know? So if you want to say it's all in my head, it probably is, but there's got to be a reason why it's in my head, you know? I can't believe that I finally did this video, and I don't know, if nobody finds this helpful, at least I can express myself and put my story out there. But if it did, please tweet me. I'm going to disable ratings and comments on this because it can get out of hand sometimes. But if you want to talk about this, feel free to tweet me. I would love to talk to you about it. Next steps for me. My story is still going, and it's far from over, and I'm going to put this out there so those of you who want to can keep me accountable. My next step is to get baptized and really, really commit myself to Him and just make my future the best it can be. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much. I hope you all have a really fun and safe Halloween, and I will see you in my next one. Bye! Again, from Target, because Target is amazing, and what I really love about it is that it's small and compact, but it has this little zippy pouch because I like